Hi, Tu here from Macking Domain, and we're back again with another new product overview. This time we have something from Magewell. This is called the USB Fusion. At its core, it is a video switcher, but it is a video switcher that is designed to be easy to use. So the people who get the most out of this would be educators, professors, marketing teams, or even business people who regularly give presentations. What do I mean by that is that you can easily plug in either through HDMI or USB. You can plug in webcams, you can plug in cameras, you can even plug in your laptop. And between all those, you can easily do the switching so that you can have more control over your presentation, whether when you want to show it on the main camera or when you want to show it on the presentation. Beyond them being a simple video switcher, there are other functions that will help with people's presentations, such as annotations, whiteboard feature. Those can be accessed through the device in a few methods that we'll go into more detail in the rest of the video. But before I go into that, let me just have a close-up so that you can have a good look at the device. Of course, the most basic way you can do the switching is through the buttons, and we'll take a look how that will react when I press those buttons once I have it hooked up. You can plug in audio devices through the audio jack, and just to give you a closer look at the inputs, as you can see here, the HDMI primarily it would be the main way you would interface with it, but you can also input a USB webcam, and on top of that, for taking the output, you can plug in through USB-C back to your laptop. USB-C, or the cable that comes with it is a USB-C to USB-A, so standard USB ports can also work. So very flexible in terms of how you can interface with this, and it is easy to use because all you have to do is plug it into the laptop, and your laptop can read it as a webcam input already. On top of that, there's an Ethernet port so that you can plug it into your network, and from there you can access the web UI to interface with some of the more advanced features that I mentioned earlier. Or the third method on how you would do the switching is through the available app on iOS or even Android, developed by Magewell themselves. It's called the USB Fusion app. So if you have a tablet with the app, you can get it connected to the device and start switching, or you can even start using the features of Whiteboard or Annotations. So those are some of the other things that you can do. Without further ado, let me get this set up so that we can take a good look at the device and some of these core features, and you can take a look for yourself whether this would be helpful for you. So now we have the Fusion set up on the table properly. I want to walk you through briefly on what I've connected to this unit, starting with the computer input connected through HDMI. So I'm connected to my laptop in this case so that I can capture its screen. I also connect it to a HDMI camera. In this case, it will be this very camera that is recording this video right now. And finally, I have a webcam that is also connected via USB to the unit right here. On top of that, there are output options for the Fusion. First and foremost is the USB-C output that I've connected to my laptop so that I can bring the image back into my laptop. But on top of that, I can output it through a HDMI. And this is useful if you want to preview your final mix output. You can connect it to a TV or a computer screen so that you can track what is being mixed in the whole process. And finally, we have an Ethernet port so that you can connect it to your network. This would be essential if you want to connect it through a web UI or even the available iPad or Android tablet app. That's it in terms of connection. Well, of course, there's the power output here. But on top of that, what you can sort of see here is actual physical buttons for you to do the switching if you want to keep it simple. So I'll walk you through some of these buttons. The first one here would be the screen capture. So you can switch directly to what you are sharing on the screen. You can present slides this way. On top of that, you can switch back to the camera. Apart from that, you can do a picture-in-picture between these two. You can also do a side-by-side. In this case, if you notice, side-by-side, you can actually cycle through all three inputs. If you noticed earlier, the video defaults to the HDMI. So in cases where you have two cameras, one HDMI and one USB, the HDMI camera would take priority. In the case where if you take off the HDMI input, it will default to the USB webcam. But nevertheless, if you want to cycle through your camera in different combinations, the fourth button here is what you want to use so that you can find a combination that suits your presentation and settle for one. Finally, the fifth is equal size side by side. This one does not have the cycle through feature, unlike the previous option. So In reality, the only cycle through option is the fourth button in this case. Apart from that, that's it in terms of the hardware buttons. If you would like to have more options for how you want to mix your scenes, we'll explore that in the next section where we use the application, and after that when we use the web UI. Alright, we'll be taking a look at the tablet app. In this case, I'm using an iPad for the demonstration purposes, but take note it is also available on Android as well. If you have a hard time looking for the app, you can search on Magewell's website for it. The app name is called Magewell Fusion, I think, so it shouldn't be too difficult to look for. But let's take a look at the interface. As you can see on screen on the left side, that would be the actual interface, but on the right side would be the final output, so that you can get a sense of what actually appears on the final output. As you can see, in terms of basic switching, it's just a matter of switching through, for example, a computer input, HDMI input, or webcam input, and you can see how responsive it is that it almost immediately switches to it. On top of that, if you see in the bottom section of it, there is a writing option. You just need to press the pen button, and as you can see, I can do basic drawings if that's something you want. On top of that, let me clear this. I can also go into whiteboard mode to do writing. Oops, looks like I'm not in pen mode. Let's see, yep, there you go. So I can change it into whiteboard to easily do simple writings like this. And there are a whole host of other features you can see here. You can also input text or do highlighting. But on top of that, if you do not want to do that, if you need to prepare notes beforehand, before let's say a presentation or class, that's where the notes option in the top left corner, as you can see here, come into play. As you can tell, I've saved some notes prior, and by selecting them, I can easily change to highlight them. I can add new notes, for example. Let me change the there you go. So yeah, easy way to create notes or delete notes if you need to. And then, as you can imagine, that can come in handy if you need to showcase a few impromptu sketches onto your presentation. But on top of that, if you see in the bottom left corner, there's a plus symbol. If I go in there, that's where we can set up some basic mixes by, for example, a PIP. I can easily choose which input to put into the various screens, for example, like this. I can in fact move around the picture if needed in the PIP mode. Or if I do side-by-side mode, I can adjust the length or the width to my desired configuration. Other things that you can do is do rotations if you need to do that, or mirroring, or even flipping. Even cropping is available if you need to do those things on the fly. But in those terms, fairly useful options all around. So as you can tell, even the divider width is an option there. So yeah, that is more or less the main features on tablet that are available. Of course, if you see in the top right hamburger menu, there are much more. Perhaps we'll explore those in depth in a future video, but even with the basic functions, you can see how useful this application is to enhance your presentation. So in the next section, we're also going to explore how it would look like on the web browser. Slightly different options, but we'll still give you some tool sets to work with. If you don't have a tablet, you can use a laptop to access the web browser. So in this section, we're going to look at the web UI of the Magewell Fusion. As you can see here on screen, I already have my web browser pulled out with my device IP keyed in. This is the IP address of the Fusion itself. If you want to know one way to look for a device IP info, you can use this software called IP Scanner, which is available online for free. It works on Windows specifically. So you can scan your network, find the device IP, and key it into your web browser, and this should pop up. So all we have to do is log in. By default, capital A admin for both user and password. And once you're in, you'll be prompted to change the password. I won't do it this time around because this is a demo unit. I want to keep it in default settings. And from here, you can see on the dashboard all the pertinent information that would be helpful for you if you need to know. This video won't be an exhaustive video because it's not intended to be a tutorial, so I'll just bring you over the basic functions. If you would like a more in-depth video, we'll do one in the future For this video, I'm going to just highlight some of the basic functions. First and foremost, you can see all the inputs and outputs here. And if you notice, there are different frame rates and resolution. One thing that is nice about the Fusion is that it's not picky with the frame rate. It will take in any frame rate, most standard frame rates, and it can convert to a single frame rate for your output, so you don't have to crack your head on trying to get all your signals to the same resolution and frame rate. When I click on any one of these, it will bring me to the input page so that I can either look up for information for the HDMIs, or for the webcam input, this is where I would easily change the different settings. Now this one will vary between your webcam models. Some webcams give you control to these settings more so than others, so your mileage may vary, just something to keep in mind. The other important feature that we want to take a look at is the presentation feature. From here, this is where you can easily do the basic switching. So this, on the default page, it corresponds with the buttons in the front, as you can see here. So they're the same, they functionally work the same way as the physical buttons that you can find on the device. So on the presenter's view, this is where you can also cycle through by just clicking on it. But on top of that, you can prepare scenes on this web UI. So what scenes can do is you can load specific inputs or media assets. So if you load up on scenes, you can easily switch between the two. Scenes is also where I can easily access the webcam camera input if I need to. That won't be available if you're just using purely the hardware part of things. But of course, as compared to the tablet application, the tablet application has more control over the switching function in this case. The other tab that will be important will be the media tab. This is where you can upload various media assets like your pictures and videos, and even background music if you need to, so that you can push them into your presentation if you need to, like showing a specific picture or a specific video playback, maybe even background music if there's something you want to include. Audio tab would be important in that case, where you can control the different mixes. But to go more in depth, that one will be in a future video. For the timing, I'm just going to give you an overview for this one. Last tab I will take a look at is the system tabs. This is where I can easily take a look at the various settings such as Wi-Fi and network and even firmware updates. We can also create new users so that you can have more than one login for the device. But apart from that, that more or less is the settings that you can generally find on the web UI. I hope this is helpful for you. This more or less brings us to the end of the video. So if you would like more information on this device and you would like to explore it with us and ask more targeted questions, feel free to reach out to us. We will leave our contact info at the end of this video. We look forward to hearing from you, and we hope that you have a good day. Stay tuned for more specific and tutorial videos for this device in the future. Subscribe to our channel if you would like to stay in touch and keep up to date. With that said, we hope you have a good day and see you soon.